Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be just kind of a little of this, a little of that. What have I been wearing? A few things that have been bothering me. Just some updates on my life in general, and just a little rant about how we can sort of use the influencers, the bot influencers content without getting carried away. So why don't I just start there? Because I do like to listen to Demi Rawling and Sebastian and I mean, a few others sometimes that I know, are sent things. It's so obvious. And, this is the way I consider their videos. I think like Demi Rawling is a really charming person. And I like the way she talks, and she just kind of has this charisma that I like. But this is the way I use her videos. I use them sort of like a way to get updated on new launches, because usually both Sebastian and Demi Rawling and a few others are like the first ones that will actually bring fragrances up on their channel. And I just recently watched, I think, one video each of them, and it was all about gourmands or date nights or best of 2024. It was just random videos, and I did get, I got I found some new fragrances that I'd like to actually try. Not that I'll go buy a bottle or even send for a sample, but I'll kind of be on the lookout for them. And I'm having a perfume meetup, maybe one of the last ones until I sell the house. I'm moving June 2nd into town, and I'll be then in an apartment. It'll have 2 floors, so it feels kind of a little bit housey still, but it doesn't have like a great outdoor area. I mean, now this is, in the winter, so we won't be outside this time, but I have a really big living room. Like there'll be about 25 of us, and I could write in our little feed, what I'd like people to bring. And if they have certain fragrances, then usually in my community, it's pretty likely that I can get a hold of most of what I am interested in. But there is one house that I haven't heard any of these big influencers talk about that I am interested in, and I cannot get a hold of a decant, and that is the house of, God, I keep forgetting the name. It's called God, I can't remember. The fragrance that I'm interested in is called Patchouli Bohème. And I will write in the comments when I'm done with this video what the house is called. It's called Lorenzo something Italian sounding like a man's name. And these bottles are black, and they have them at Crème Passionnel in Copenhagen, I know. I'm not sure where else, but I'm interested in this house, and I'd like to try more from there. Because as soon as I kind of get a hold of a fragrance that I really like, then I become interested in the rest of the house. And this, unfortunately, also goes the opposite way. And if I get one bad first impression, this is kind of like an after analysis that I've done. If I have one bad first impression or a couple, then I don't want to go back and be disappointed again. I'd rather, save my nose buds for fragrances that I think I might like. But I do risk, of course, missing some good ones, because I find now that there is a trend. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just kind of a little observation. It seems like a lot of houses that had their DNA kind of all figured out are now doing other things. For example, D'Orsay, their thing was to create kind of subtle, low-key, musky, floral, slightly woody fragrances with iris. And now they've made 3 fragrances that are extrays. One of them is Tonka Hysteria, that I now have given a proper wearing or 2. One proper wearing, I think, and then one like kind of on the hand wearing. I've worn it twice completely. And that's like, these 3 extrays are so totally different than what they've been putting out. And then Demi Rawling also spoke out about her video that Nicolaï now is making, like, I think they've come out with, maybe I'm wrong now, they've at least come out with one gourmand, maybe several, and they totally don't have that profile. They have more of a French sophisticated profile with more classic fragrances, if I understood correctly. I'm not really familiar with Nicolaï. This is an example of a house actually that I, at an early point, tried some fragrances from there, didn't like them, and then never wanted to go back. Then I finally did go back when I was kind of exploring the note of Vetiver, and I bought the fragrance called Vetiver from Nicolaï. That I have actually sold now, even though it was a good Vetiver. I think I gave it away. to this podcast perfume woman that I listened to. I just wanted to, you know, give them some encouragement, so I gave them some perfume. But I think one was called Sacre-Bleue Intense. I thought that was really bad. And there was one more. And then I thought, okay, I've had it with the whole line. And the line is like, has so many fragrances, so I might really be missing out. Anyway, it seems like Demi Rawlings' taste has gone like from gourmand over to more like fresh and more floral. She always talks about floral fragrances, like French perfumery these days, which is not my... So one other fragrance from d'Orsay that she really loves is called Flower Lust. And I do not really love it. And I thought I would just to kind of give you some balance, I think maybe that she's saying this, maybe she does really love it, you know? Or it could also be that a master perfumer made it, and it's Dominique Ropion. I think that kind of does influence us a little bit. But this is a really sharp floral fragrance, especially from the beginning. It was not a love for me. It's heavy, it's floral. There's like a floral sweetness that almost becomes too heavy. There's too much pepper in there. That might be creating the sharpness. It feels really modern and synthetic to me. I just don't think it's a great fragrance. And I'm surprised how she's oohing and awing about it. I'm just thinking that maybe it's, you know, maybe she's getting paid to say it. I don't know. But it could, of course, be that we have totally different taste. Okay, Tonka Hysteria, however, that's one of these three as well. The third one, I can't remember what it's called. It's an incense fragrance, is the third one. But Tonka Hysteria is really, really strong. And many people say that it's similar to Rosen de Mathieu number 5 and Baby Cat from YSL, the YSL exclusives. And I didn't like those fragrances last time I tried them, but my taste has evolved, and I really like Tonka Hysteria, especially the opening I think is really nice. The opening has olibanum, cinnamon, pink pepper, and mandarin orange. And I think that the citrus there makes a difference. Like it's really bright in the beginning. You're like, when you first spray it, it's like, ooh, what was this? But so many people say it's similar to these two others. So if you have them, there's a big risk of overlap. And it's not like this is any cheap alternative. I mean, I'm just guessing. Out of the three, I bet Rosen de Mathieu would be the best bet. Except you can only get it in 100 ml, which I'm against. And d'Orsay's are available, I think, in 50 and 90 ml. So 50 is a good size. YSL, of course, is really expensive. Okay, I'll tell you a little bit more about it. To me, I get lots of saffron. It reminds me a little bit of same vibe as Desired from Elisir, which I spoke a lot about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. I was completely hooked on this fragrance, but by the time I had finished the sample, the urge to buy a bottle was gone. And there was a guy who runs this web shop, and he had like a demo bottle, and he'd seen my videos. I make videos in this local Facebook group too. And he'd seen my videos, and he knew that I loved this fragrance, and he said that I could buy it for like, you know, like $75 or something. But it's only 30 minutes. I mean, they're expensive anyway. He was giving me a good price, and I said no to it anyway. And that just gives you some idea about how, like, I get bored with fragrances. I finally figured that one out and was ready to move on. So this is what might happen with Tonka Hysteria, but I've been through half my sample and I still do love it. But I oversprayed it last time, and it has a lot of incense. Okay, the mid notes are Orris and Lily of the Valley. And Lily of the Valley is kind of toned down. It's not really heavy. I really don't like Lily of the Valley in general. And then the base, Tonka, Vanilla, and Benzoin. I took 4, 5, 6 something sprays from a sample. So the sprays are small, but this was really overwhelming. So it took a while for the fragrance to, let's say, give off the right effect, you could say. I felt really, really overly perfumed. Thank God I was at home. Let's see. When would I wear this? If I had a bottle with 50 ml, I still only would wear this like maybe 3-4 times a year, perhaps, because it's such a big fragrance. And then later that day, I was going to go off to dancing, and I had to wash some of it off, and then I had to add some Iris Prima. Yeah, this was Friday. I had to add some Iris Prima just to kind of lift it up, because the mandarin orange and these more fresher notes were gone by then. But Tonka Hysteria is still intrigues me. I think it's a really, really good, solid release. I think it's fun that D'Orsay is doing some more potent fragrances. And if you don't have Baby Cat and Rosine de Mateur, but you like those fragrances, you think this might be something that you're interested in. Saffron actually is not listed, but I do get lots of saffron from Desired. I'm not sure it has saffron listed either, but okay, that was Tonka Hysteria. Let's move on. Flower Lust, I already said what I thought about that. Okay, and then I wore again. Now I have a more in-depth description for you. I wore Kairos from Anatole Lebreton. The perfumer is Anatole Lebreton. That's Lebreton. I don't know where she's from. I think it's a woman. And this has a really high rating on Fragrantica, but only 20 votes. So keep that in mind. The average points there are 4.45 out of 5. That's a really high rating. And the notes are it's a really strange mixture because it's both green and gourmandy kind of at the same time. So there's a bitterness, there's bitter almond, vanilla, orange blossom, Peru balsam, tonka, bitter orange, and petitgrain. And petitgrain is like, just imagine like you're just breaking up some green stems, like floral stems, or even not just floral stems, but like from a bush or something, and you get that kind of green smell coming out. What am I thinking? Not what is it called? Sometimes in Swedish, I can only find the words in Swedish. Kvist, it's a kind of like a branch, but thinner. Twigs maybe? There's something in between a twig and a branch, I would say. Size-wise, gives off that green kind of, like in the spring when the trees, are starting to, they're just kind of like thin. What are they called? I can't find the word. Okay, so this is what it is to be bilingual and kind of live in a country where you do most of your talking in Swedish. Anyway, this fragrance, Kairos, came out in 2024, so it's really new. I have mixed feelings. It's kind of a love-hate, but it's tipping over to a love. I think it's really interesting because like things really happen in it. And it's 1 second it's a gourmand. The next second it's something green and bitter. And it's like, I don't know what it is about this fragrance. I really, really am enjoying wearing it. And the similarity to Carnal Flower from Frederic Malle that I mentioned in an earlier video when I just kind of had, done a little hand test. I no longer feel, it's not as similar as I thought it was. But it definitely has a little of that vibe, but they have almost no overlapping notes, except I think maybe orange blossom. So that one has, Carnal Flower has eucalyptus, coconut. This one has petitgrain, vanilla. I'm not sure if that one has vanilla. I don't wear Carnal Flower a lot. I have a travel size, but I don't wear it. I don't really reach for tuberose fragrances that much. I mean, I like Fauny from Angela Chiampagna, but that one's so much more than tuberose. It doesn't even have tuberose listed. It's like floral notes, but they told me when I bought it that this is a tuberose fragrance. Like it really has the bubblegum vibe, but it is so much better than a standard tuberose. I love that fragrance. That was a really good buy, although I spent way too much, and it's a 100 ml bottle that I'll never go through. Okay, let's move on. What did I wear yesterday? I wore Arbolé with Iris Pallida, layered. And Iris Pallida, there are two fragrances with the same name, but this one is the one from Marie Jeanne. Marie, and then it's two words. Marie Jeanne. I'm not sure where this is from. It's an iris fragrance that has some hazelnut. Oh, here, I wrote the notes down. Sidonie Lancesseur is the perfumer. It came out in 2022, so it's been out a while. I've had a vial from a subscriber. Someone sent it to me, just to be nice. Hazelnut, cashmere and iris in the top. Iris butter, Italian iris, I think it said. I never usually write down if it's Turkish rose or Bulgarian rose, or I haven't gotten to that point yet where I'm at that real fine-tuned note reading. And then in the base, patchouli, lavender, ambroxan, and sandalwood. But this fragrance, I thought first of all, this was like kind of boring, just another iris fragrance. And I have Iris de Champs. I think it's really supposed to be pronounced Iris de Champs from Houbigant. But it's not. I've realized that it also has that the hazelnut, which makes a big difference actually, and a little patchouli in the base, and labdanum, which I love as a note. So it's actually really, really good. And I do like it, especially, and then maybe sometimes I add some patchouli just to kind of deepen it a little bit. But that's a really nice fragrance, and it's not that expensive. I don't have the price in my head, but if that sounds like something that could be interesting to you, check it out, because I think that could be a pretty good buy. Although it's not like the most unique fragrance I've ever smelled, but it's good. I'd say it's really good. Let's see. Oh, I did make some notes about new gourmands that I'd like to try. The one from Nicolaï that just came out, or they're actually, I wrote this down. They've come out with 3 new fragrances. One is called Saint Honoré, and I think both Sebastian and Demi Rawling picked that one of the 3 to mention like a best of, or best, I think Sebastian had like a best of gourmand, and Demi had like a best of 2024, and they both chose this one out of the 3, and that must mean something, right? The other 2 are called Pavlova and Macaroon Bourbon, I think, if I got that right. But this Saint Honoré is like nutty, milky, vanillic, ambery. That sounds pretty good. And then Whiff of a Wafflecone has come now in a new version, like a new formulation. It's a limited edition. I'm not a fan of the house. I won't be checking that out, but maybe one of you. Coco Kimia, they've also both talked about from Atelier des Ors, and they both love it. It's like a coffee. No, it's not a coffee. Sorry, it's not a coffee fragrance. I think they've released another sort of gourmandish fragrance, and that one has coffee. But this one only lists 2 notes, and it's cocoa and cardamom. And it's supposed to be ambery, musky, and according to Sebastian, it has a Sadolnaso vibe, kind of a little bit of dirtiness in there. I just thought it sounded interesting. Oh, another example of a house that is now doing something completely different is the house Maison Violet. Natalie Larson's house. Now she's released like a sort of a gourmand. It might be like a semi-gourmand, but listen to the notes here. Maroon glace, marron, maybe that's macaroon, I'm not quite sure. Hazelnut, mate, cacao, iris, myrrh, and rum, and vanilla in the base. I mean, that one's called Pour Rêver. And the other fragrances from this house are like nowhere near gourmand. They're very like floral. They have a tuberose fragrance. I think they have a sandalwood fragrance. It's kind of a little bit like your standard niche, but no gourmands. And now they've released a gourmand. I mean, I think this is what they're all noticing, like how the audience is becoming more interested in gourmands, and then they of course want a piece of the cake. Caspian Cherry Electimus is kind of an amaretto fragrance. I've tried that actually, and that was a little bit shampoo-y. I thought it was a disappointment. This sounded interesting to me. Story of Your Life from Etat Libre D'Orange. It has like gourmand notes plus Davana. And according to Sebastian, it's doughy, vanillic, boozy, and ambery, but not sugary. So I thought that sounded pretty nice. They mentioned a few other ones. Okay, another one that they both mentioned. I'll just highlight a few of them. Was Estrella de la Mañana from Une Nuit Nomade, which has like birch, vanilla, benzoin, and cocoa. So it's like dry, smoky, leathery, but like a totally different take on gourmand, which I thought sounded interesting. Une Nuit Nomade is kind of like a cheap brand. I mean, relatively cheap, and I have had a few fragrances like travel size and decants from the house, and they make a really good first impression, but then when you start comparing them to other higher quality fragrances, they're a little bit kind of rough and loud to me. But this did sound interesting, and they both were going on and on about it. But they could be paid to be going on and on about it. What do I know? But I will try it next time I get the chance, and I will probably get the chance this summer, because they have that brand Fragrance and Art, where wherever you are in the world, can actually use that website. And the Swedish crown now is pretty bad. I mean, for us, could be good for you. So it could be worth maybe checking out the prices depending on what currency you're shopping in. It could be, right now, a little bit to your advantage with the currency, perhaps. Anyway, I have no collaboration with anyone. Just so you know, I buy all my fragrances with my own money. I do know the owner of this store. It's not like we're close friends, but I know her, and she's a great person. And I know people. I know a lot of other perfume web shop owners, and they have a really wide selection of brands. And I will say, if I don't like a brand that they carry, I don't feel bad about that. And I mean, they know me, and they know also that I think it's really important to be able to speak my honest opinion. So if they've brought in a new fragrance and I don't like it, I can say it. I do say it. So, but each store has its, I find that a lot of houses I like a fragrance here and there. I don't like typically a whole, every fragrance from a house. Okay, then there was another one that I thought was maybe, this is a house I've never actually tried anything from. It's Dries van Noten. I think it was called Satin Chamomile. I don't even know how to pronounce that in English. That was like a dry experience with a syrupy touch and musky with rose coming through. I think Sebastian was going on about this, that this was interesting. And there were maybe some more. There was one... J-Scent was also mentioned. I love J-Scent. I love Sumo Wrestler. This is a Japanese brand. It can be hard to find, at least in Europe. If you're in the States, I think Lucky Scent carries J-Scent. And if you go to Japan, it's much, much cheaper. So if you're in Asia, maybe it's easier. Sorry about that. Maybe if you're in Asia, it's easier to find this brand. And they also sell them in travel size, but the perfume oil is different than the EDPs, because I do have a perfume oil of Sumo Wrestler, and it's much weaker than the EDP, so it's not quite the same. Anyway, now I just wanted to share two fragrances that I've been wearing today. One is a new fragrance to me, and one is kind of an old, rediscovered in my collection fragrance that might be discontinued. I'm not sure, but we'll start with this morning's fragrance. I wore from my new discovery set, Born to Stand Out, Mary Jane. And Mary Jane is like a cannabis fragrance that's supposed to smell like marijuana. I mean, Mary Jane, I guess. But it has rhubarb, mint, cannabis, and grapefruit in the top. Kind of a lot of rhubarb. It's pretty intense in the beginning. And then LME, passion fruit, which is noticeable. Sage, I wouldn't have been able to say, in the mid. And then it kind of dries down. It has in the base pine, woodsy notes, cashmere wood, and caramel. And I really like this. It's a really fresh, kind of fun wearing experience. And it also changes, as from opening to dry down. There are things going on, which I find interesting. I like that it projects well. Now I have some, now as it kind of wore off, now it's starting to get dark here. It's been on for 7 hours. I put on another fragrance. I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. But I just wanted to say, this just recently came out. It's a new launch from 2024. According to a few stoners, I'd never heard that expression before. I've heard about potheads, but not stoners. They say that this is not marijuana-like. It's not authentic marijuana smell. I thought it was but I'm not that familiar with smoking. I mean, I tried it, I guess, one time when I was younger, but I haven't. I mean, I know what it smells like when you run into someone that just smoked it somewhere, but according to my friend, this smells more like the leaves before you smoke it. But I don't know. I just find it minty. It's I think they said something about it, frozen mint, I think, in the listings, not on Fragrantica, but on their website. And I also think that it says not woodsy notes, but it says electric wood. So they're kind of making up molecules, maybe, I don't know. Or they're maybe names of molecules that they use. I'm not sure. Anyway, I wouldn't buy a bottle because it's kind of more of it's a fun wear, but it's not I'm going to a party, I'm going to put this marijuana fragrance on. I don't think I'd do that. I'm not sure someone would think that I smell like marijuana. It's because it has all these other notes in there. The fruity passion, it's fruity and it's bright, and I like the mint. It's refreshing. And the pine kind of goes with refreshing notes. And then it does have the caramel in the bottom, but it just enough to sweeten it up a little bit so it doesn't go all the way. I mean, rhubarb is just if you put rhubarb in your mouth, it's really sour. It's not like that. It's kind of really well balanced. I mean, I have been really enjoying that. and I've worn it twice now. It's nice. It's nice. And then this is one that I would really like a bottle of. If I could get a hold of it for a decent price. I wouldn't pay like way overpriced just because it's discontinued. And it is Ciel pour femme. I mean, the one that's marketed towards women, from Amouage. And this is an example of a perfume that is not aligned with their typical DNA. It's not this heavy, layered, challenging fragrance. This is an easy wear. I mean, like I could probably give a decant of this to my friends and they would all wear it. I mean, now there's a little bit of that Mary Jane on under, but like it's water lily, jasmine, gardenia, like all these different florals. It's kind of like wet and watery. I mean, it's like a little bit soapy, a little bit laundry-like maybe, musky. It's very fresh and very beautiful. It's like floral beauty, but like not in a boring way. I think this is a really nice, I mean, you compare this Ciel from Amouage to Flower Lust by D'Orsay. I mean, it really this is so natural smelling and so beautiful, where that one is more like, oh, it's like headache inducing. It's loud. It's too much. It's too, I don't know. I didn't like Flower Lust. I mean, maybe I will give it another chance, but I think I'm done. I think I'm done with it, honestly. But this Ciel, I think it's discontinued. I would love a bottle. I think it's beautiful. It reminds me of, there is a fragrance that I think reminds me of from Serge Lutens, like a musk fragrance that I had a decant of and that I really love too. And I think that also might be discontinued. I'll try to think of that fragrance. It's called Musk something. God, I can't remember it. Now I just realized that I need to find a decant of that, because that was really good. That was really good. That was kind of one of my first experiences with like good niche perfume. And it kind of, God, what is it called? I'll get back to you. I'll write in the notes, I promise. I'll find out about it and I'll write in the notes. But Ciel from Amouage is really good. An easy wear. You could wear anytime, anywhere, to meet anyone, any occasion. It's just, and I just have this much left, like almost nothing. Oh, perfect timing. My son's coming home from school now. He's back from Asia. He's got a terrible cough. Today's good news, I just wanted to say, was that my cat, the one that got badly bitten, now has gotten the collar off that he hated so much. He was acting so depressed. And he's such a happy cat now. That was all for today, guys.